Here is something that nobody has said directly yet. Not Candace Owens. Not Jason Whitlock. Not Jennifer Welch. Not Andy Signore. Not a single one of the people who have spent the last 8 months building entire content careers around scrutinizing Erika Kirk has gone here directly. The relationship between Erika Kirk and Charlie Kirk's parents. Because while the internet has been dissecting her tears, her outfits, her stares, her security stories, her podcast appearances, her Instagram posts and her facial expressions, a completely separate thread of observation has been quietly building across social media platforms. Slower. More specific. And in many ways more uncomfortable than anything that has come before it. A wave of online debate has erupted after multiple viral clips appear to show Erika Kirk maintaining visible emotional and physical distance from Charlie Kirk's parents, prompting renewed speculation about whether tensions exist within the grieving family. Multiple clips. Multiple events. Multiple moments, across ceremonies, interviews, award events, and public appearances, where viewers are pointing at the same thing and asking the same question. Where are Charlie's parents in Erika Kirk's world? Welcome to the Marquee Report. This is a story we are going to handle carefully, because the evidence is thin, the speculation is enormous, and the human stakes are genuinely serious. Let's get into every detail. Before we get into the specific moments that have triggered this conversation, let's establish what we actually know about Charlie Kirk's family background and why this particular line of scrutiny has found such a receptive audience. Charlie Kirk's parents, Robert and Michelle Kirk, were present at several major public events following his assassination in September 2025. They were there for the memorial. They were there for public ceremonies honoring his legacy. They were photographed at events where Erika was also present. And in every single one of those public appearances, a portion of the internet began watching closely. The way it has watched every public appearance Erika Kirk has made since September 10. The discussion has intensified across social media platforms where users are dissecting interviews, public ceremonies, and memorial events in an attempt to understand whether the relationship between Erika and her late husband's parents is strained, neutral, or simply misread through moments captured on camera. That last option, simply misread through moments captured on camera, is the one that deserves the most attention. Because everything we are about to discuss exists in a specific information environment. An environment where Erika Kirk has been called fake, diabolical, an assassin cosplayer, a sociopath, and a murderer based on clips that were decontextualized, slowed down, and replayed millions of times. The in-law story is being generated by the same process. The same slow-motion frame analysis. The same pattern recognition applied to footage of people grieving in public. The same gap between what cameras capture and what is actually happening between human beings in complicated situations. That does not mean there is nothing to examine. It means we need to examine it carefully. Let's look at what people are actually pointing at, because the specific moments matter. Much of the current controversy stems from widely shared video footage and images taken during major public appearances following Charlie Kirk's passing. In several of these moments, viewers noted that Erika Kirk and Charlie's parents were not seen interacting closely, often standing apart or positioned with other attendees between them. One of the most discussed examples comes from a high-profile ceremony where Erika accepted recognition on behalf of her late husband. Observers pointed out that although both sets of family members were present, there was no clear moment of direct interaction such as handholding, embracing, or visible verbal exchange. Now let's think about what that observation is actually measuring. The absence of visible handholding or embracing between a widow and her in-laws at a formal public ceremony. In front of cameras. In front of security personnel. In front of hundreds of attendees. At an event with a program, a podium, and stage management. Supporters of Erika argue that grief, stage pressure, and security arrangements could easily explain physical separation. However, critics claim the repeated pattern across different events has raised questions that are difficult to ignore. The word repeated is the one doing all the work in that sentence. A single moment of physical distance at a single event, genuinely explainable by 100 different factors. A repeated pattern across multiple events, that is the observation that the internet is finding harder to dismiss. Whether the pattern is real or whether it is being manufactured by selective clip compilation is a question nobody can fully answer from the outside. But the perception of a pattern exists. And in the current information environment around Erika Kirk, perception travels as fast as fact. Here is where the story moves from visual observation to something more specific, and in some ways more significant. Attention shifted to Erika's media appearances, particularly interviews where she discussed Charlie's legacy and family life. In one widely circulated Fox News interview, Erika spoke warmly about her own mother and shared emotional reflections about family dinners and personal memories. Viewers quickly noticed what they described as a consistent absence of direct mention of Charlie's parents in her broader interviews. Over dozens of public appearances, critics claim she has rarely referred specifically to them, instead focusing on her children, her mother, or Turning Point USA staff as her emotional support system. This is the observation that is genuinely harder to explain away than physical positioning at a formal ceremony. Over dozens of public appearances, interviews, podcasts, speeches, Instagram posts, Erika Kirk has spoken extensively about her grief, her children, her own mother, her faith, her TPUSA colleagues, and Charlie's broader supporters. The specific references to Charlie's parents in her public statements, according to people who have been tracking this, are rare to the point of being almost absent. Some interpret this as deliberate avoidance, while others argue it may simply reflect personal boundaries or respect for privacy, especially during a period of public grief. Both interpretations are legitimate. In fact, both can be simultaneously true. A person can maintain private boundaries around their in-laws specifically because the relationship is complicated. And a person can maintain private boundaries around their in-laws specifically because they want to protect those relationships from public scrutiny. The choice looks identical from the outside. The motivation behind it is completely invisible to any camera. What is observable, and what the internet has noticed, is the asymmetry. Erika's own mother gets named. TPUSA staff get named. Charlie's broader legacy gets honored. Charlie's parents exist in a kind of publicly unacknowledged space that a significant number of people find striking given the circumstances. The most specific piece of evidence in this entire conversation comes from a particular public event, and it deserves careful examination. Now let's address the most serious allegation in this entire conversation, because it is circulating widely and it needs to be handled with precision. Older online posts resurfaced alleging that tensions may extend beyond public appearances, including unverified claims about legal disputes involving family and branding matters. These posts circulated widely on social media but have not been substantiated by mainstream reporting or confirmed court documents. Step back and look at what the in-law story actually represents in the broader context of everything that has happened since September 2025. 8 months ago, Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at a public event. His widow stepped into the most scrutinized leadership role in the conservative movement. She has since been called a murderer, a fraud, a sociopath, a victim player, a cosplay assassin, the new Meghan Markle, and a fake widow. Her tears have been analyzed frame by frame. Her outfits have been compared to her husband's killer. Her stare has been studied by forensic psychologists. And now, the in-laws. Online discussions continue to grow, fueled largely by fragmented clips, interpretations of interviews, and the emotional intensity surrounding Charlie Kirk's legacy. At present, public appearances show limited visible interaction, interviews contain few direct references to the in-laws, and online speculation has filled the gaps with assumptions that remain unproven. What that absence means is genuinely unknowable from the outside. It could mean everything the internet suspects. It could mean nothing at all beyond two families choosing to grieve privately in a world that has given them almost no privacy. Here is the one thing this channel will always say when the evidence runs out and the speculation begins. We do not know. And not knowing, in a story this human, this painful, this irreversible, is not a failure of reporting. It is the honest answer. Charlie Kirk had parents who lost their son. He had a wife who lost her husband. He had children who lost their father. Whatever exists between those people, whatever grief, whatever tension, whatever love, belongs to them. Not to the internet. Not to social media. Not to this channel. Not to any of us watching from the outside. This has been the Marquee Report. Subscribe and hit the bell. We cover the Erika Kirk story the way it deserves to be covered. Every development. Every week. Honestly. See you on the next one.